Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into two really powerful Azure services for running containers, Azure Container Instances and Azure Container Apps. Now, if you've ever had a container image ready to go on Azure, you've probably hit a wall and asked yourself one big question.
Right? It's a question that trips up a ton of developers. And here's the thing, the answer isn't about which one is better overall. It's about finding the right fit for your specific project. It really all comes down to what kind of work you need to get done.
Exactly. You have to think about it like finding the right tool for the right job. So let's start by looking at our first type of job and the perfect tool that's designed just for it.
Okay, first up, let's talk about simple jobs. Imagine you have this single, straightforward task. It just needs to run, do its thing, and then, poof, disappear. No fuss, no long-term commitment. For that kind of work, you need a very specific tool.
This is the sweet spot for Azure Container Instances, or as you'll hear it called, ACI. It is built from the ground up for exactly this kind of scenario: speed and simplicity.
ACI is all about getting straight to the point. You don't have to spin up virtual machines, you don't have to configure any complex orchestration platforms, you just give it your container image, and Azure takes care of all the behind-the-scenes stuff, getting it up and running in literally seconds. It's absolutely perfect for these get in, get it done, get out scenarios. Like a quick batch job that crunches some data every night, or a fast test you need to run to check a new feature. For these jobs, the last thing you want is a server just sitting around idle, costing you money all day. And this is where it gets really brilliant: the cost. You are not paying for any idle capacity at all. The second your job is done and that container stops, the billing meter stops too. It's the ultimate pay-for-what-you-use model when you just have a single task to run.
But what if you're doing more than just running a single isolated task? What if you're building a whole long-running application? Well, for that, you're going to need a totally different kind of tool.
See, for this kind of job, you need way more than a simple task runner. You need a platform. And this is where Azure Container Apps, or ACA, comes into the picture. This is the world where you build modern, cloud-native applications that are meant to run 24/7 and scale up and down.
Think of ACA as the foundation for your whole app. So if you're building, say, a food delivery app, you might have separate services for handling orders, for displaying menus, and for tracking drivers. ACA is the platform that brings all those pieces together so they can work as one cohesive application.
And here is the secret weapon under the hood. AKA gives you all the power of Kubernetes, which is the gold standard for container orchestration, but, and this is a big but, you don't have to deal with the massive headache of actually managing a Kubernetes cluster yourself. Azure handles all that complexity for you.
This idea of an environment is so important. It's basically like a secure, private neighborhood for all your app's different services. They can all talk to each other directly and securely without ever touching the public internet, which is a huge deal for performance and security in a microservices setup.
So, there we have it. Two fantastic but very different options. Let's put them side by side, head to head, to make the choice crystal clear so you know exactly which tool to grab every single time.
This analogy just nails it. The ACI taxi? You call it when you need it for a single specific trip, and it's gone when you're done. The ACA fleet, those vehicles are always there, they're coordinated, and they're ready to handle constant, ongoing demand. One is a task, the other is a whole system.
Let's just walk through this table because it really lays it all out. Look at scaling. With ACI, it's manual. You decide. With ACA, it's automatic, and it can even scale all the way down to 0. Then there's orchestration. ACI has none because it's laser-focused on single containers. ACA has all that powerful Kubernetes-based orchestration just built right in. And that difference extends to networking, where ACA gives you advanced tools like ingress to manage your traffic and service discovery so your microservices can easily find each other.
Okay, let's zoom in on two of ACS features that are, frankly, superpowers. These are the things that really set it apart and make managing a complex, modern app so much easier.
This is an absolute game changer for your wallet. It means that if nobody is using your app, maybe in the middle of the night, Azure can just automatically shut down all the containers. You are not paying a single dime for compute that's just sitting there doing nothing. 0. That is the magic number. When your app is idle, you have 0 running instances, which means 0 cost for that compute. But the moment a request comes in, ACA just springs to life, spinning up what's needed just in time to handle it. It's truly pay for what you use, but for a whole application. And this scaling is smart. ACA can actually watch things like a message queue. So as orders start to pile up, it automatically adds more containers to burn through that queue. Then, once the work is done and the queue is empty, it scales right back down again. Your app is always perfectly sized for the demand, and you don't have to lift a finger.
ACA also solves one of the scariest parts of software development, deploying updates. Every single time you make a change to your app, ACA creates something called a revision. You can think of it like a snapshot or a saved version of your application at that point in time. This gives you an incredible amount of control and, more importantly, safety. You want to test out a new feature? Easy. Send just 10% of your users to the new revision. What if you suddenly see a bunch of errors? No sweat. With one click, you can redirect all of your traffic right back to the old, stable version. It's basically like having a giant undo button for your production deployments. All right, so we've seen both tools, we've seen their strengths, and we know what they're good for. Let's bring this all home and lock in the final, most important takeaway.
It all comes back to this one simple idea. It's not about better, it's about right for the job. Are you reaching for a hammer when you need a screwdriver? Understanding this difference empowers you to build smarter, more reliable, and more cost-effective systems on Azure right from the very beginning.
This is it. This is the one question you have to ask yourself. If you're just running a temporary, isolated job, Azure Container Instances is your champion, hands down. But if you're building a scalable, long-running application with lots of moving parts, Azure Container Apps is the platform you need. Answering this one simple question correctly will set your project up for success every single time.
So in this lab, we are going to implement past complete options, and that is implement Azure Container Instance. So we are going to do two tasks. First, deploy an Azure Container Instance using a Docker image. Then second task is test and verify deployment of an container instance. So let's start that one. So very first thing that you need to do, you need to connect to Azure portal. Here I have connected. Now search for container instance. Click on container instance and then click on create. Under basic tabs, select the subscription, select resource group, give a container name. Select region. Then for image source, here I am selecting quick start image. And it has got like there you see that hello world latest Linux. So select that one. There are different images for my lab perspective. That's fine. Then here you can select the size. We can change that one. Click next networking. So if you look here, that DNS name level, give a unique name here. So it's a label. So MMPNS03. So this is mainly because publicly reachable with this DNS level. And port is fine. Then click next monitoring section. Here, container instance log is enabled, default one. So that is fine for us. We can select workspace or create new. This is good. We can create for that one, but for now, let's skip this. Uncheck this one, insights. We do not need that insights for this lab, so deselect that one and select advanced. Consider all the default value. We are not modifying anything. Like key management, here you see that Microsoft managed key. The default on restart policy is on failure. default one. Then click on, you're not going to give any tags, so click on review and create. And click on create. So we'll wait for this container instance to be created. So I'll be back when that is done. So deployment is done. Go to resource, click go to resource. And here, if you see there is status is running. And see that fully qualified domain name. Let's copy this one and open into a new browser window. So we can see that a page is displaying that welcome to Azure Container Instance. To see the logs, so what we can do, we can just refresh few times to generate logs so that we can see the logs information. We go back here under the settings, click the containers, and then here is the logs option. Select that logs option. You can see the logs information here. You can see the logs entries representing that HTTP GET requested generated by displaying the applications, these applications in the browser. So that's it for this lab. If you have any comments, please put into comment section. Otherwise, see you in next lab. This lab, we are going to do administer past compute options, implement Azure Container Apps. So last one was container instance, this time apps. So two tasks actually here. First one is create and configure an Azure Container App and environment, container environment. So think like Kubernetes cluster, and we will also test and verify deployment of this container app this time. So let's start that one. So very first thing, you have to connect to Azure portal and then search for container app. Click on container app. Click create. Click container app. So here, give a container name. Select region. Then container app environment. Click on create new environment. And then give an environment name. Click on create. It is going back to here, like create container app section. Then click next container. And if you see here, make sure that image source is image container registry. What are the options available there? But we can, in our case, we are going to use quick start image. So select that quick start image. And quick start image is simple hello container. There are options for our lab. We are selecting hello one container. And then we are not giving tags, so select on review and create. Validation in progress now. You can see validation failed. Let me find out what the issue. Policy issue. So Let me work on that one and then come back. It's a lab environment, so what I have done, I have changed the region to Australia East, then click review and create, and then click on create. Click on container app. Option is container app and container app job. In our case, we are going to do container app, so select container app. Resource group, container app name. Then here we are going to select container image default one, region West US 2, change that to East US. Then under here, container app environment, create a new environment. So select create a new environment. Then give a environment name. Then click on create. Down here, next is container. Select that container. Here, we are going to use quick start image. And there is a ready image that we are going to select simple hello world container. We are not changing any other, just considering all the default. So select review and create. So validation in progress. It's showing here passed. Select create. So deployment is in progress. So let me come back when that is ready. So here you can see deployment is complete. You can expand this on deployment details to get that on what has been created here. Now we can see the 3 log analytic workspace, then container apps environment, and also that application like my app. So select on go to resource. And under the overview section is that application URL. Copy that one. And if we open another tab, pass the URL. And here we can see that container app is running with a hello world image. So that means Azure Container App is running with the live message. So we have completed the lab. If you have any question, put into comment sections. I would like to request you to subscribe to my channel and see you next lab.